to the Friday Five here on the Agent Survival Guide podcast. I'm your host, Sarah Ruppel, and this is our weekly list of 5 things you should know about. Today is Friday, June 5th. We are getting close to the beginning of certification season. Monday, June 22nd is the date that both AHIP and NABIP Medicare certifications go live for the 2027 coverage year. If you are planning on getting certified for the first time, we're at the point where I would suggest holding out until the 2027 training comes out, if at all possible. On the AHIP side, the 2026 version of training goes dark on Thursday, June 18th, 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time. And then training will be offline for the entire weekend, June 19th, June 20th, and June 21st. So mark your calendars and maybe plan some fun family activities for that weekend prior to the busy certification season. Moving on to our next item. If you are like me, maybe looking to be more intentional in your media consumption, tracking your media is one way to start. And that was the suggestion in one of my morning podcast listens this week, the podcast Before Breakfast. Each morning, the host shares a tip that's either productivity or time management related, or an answer to listener questions. And Monday's episode talked about tracking media. When we take the time to record and track what we've consumed, we can come back to that for the feels, sure, but the process also creates space to track media you would like to watch, you would like to read, or you would like to listen to. And you can do that a couple of different ways: writing them down in a notebook, creating a specific section in your bullet journal. You can track things digitally. You can track them on social media or specialized apps like Goodreads for books. And you can also log them in a plain old trusty Excel spreadsheet. So just a couple ways there. The important thing here is to track everything you've been consuming, where you've been doing it, even maybe the time you've been spending doing it. And as you track what you've been consuming and where, you might start to see the time you spend scrolling on social media is more than you think. And then maybe you'll opt to pick up a book instead. Or maybe you'll head to a specific article or essay that you bookmarked and you've been meaning to finish. The idea here is to see what you're spending your time on, and if you'd like to make changes, you should be able to see where you have that time to do so. And then as you finish more books or podcasts or articles and add them to your list, the momentum just might be enough to help you continue making those more intentional choices rather than choosing to passively scroll. There are always interesting tips on that show, so we will have the link to the podcast itself as a whole, as well as that episode from Monday in the notes if you'd like to check them out. Up next, we talked a little bit about the changes coming to TRICARE logins prior to the Memorial Day holiday. Today, I've got another helpful TRICARE resource. Within their publications section, there are a few fact sheets that are super helpful if you're trying to fact find for a client with TRICARE benefits. There is one that outlines the different types of TRICARE plans and how utilizing coverage works for each one. That is something that can be confusing whether you are new to the industry or not, because TRICARE works a little differently than regular insurance coverage. Also worth downloading, the fact sheet on qualifying life events, so you know when someone on TRICARE can make changes to their coverage. And the most recently updated fact sheet, the TRICARE Pharmacy Program Overview. Highly recommend taking a look at that to see how the drug categories are broken out, the cost for coverage, and pharmacy information. We will have the links to the fact sheets available from TRICARE in our notes, so check those out and make sure you have the most updated versions possible in your files for reference. This next one comes over from our sales team here at Ritter Insurance Marketing, the FMO that powers this podcast. So big shout out to Danica, Marquita, and Michelle for their insight on this one. Clover recently challenged their CMS star ratings in the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of Georgia. And CMS was ordered to recalculate those star ratings as a result. And the interesting thing here, not the decision itself. We've seen the courts side with carriers in the past. We've also seen them uphold CMS star ratings. In Clover's case, the company alleged that CMS included measures in their star ratings determination that should not have been considered in the calculation. And then hearkening back to what we've seen this administration rule favorably on, they argued that CMS overreached in their determination measures and did not follow the protocol for rulemaking, providing notice of change and then a comment period for the public to weigh in on that change. Also interesting from what I've read, it doesn't seem like the recalculations will change Clover's star rating. But it does send a message to other carriers that they can potentially use this same argument to bring their own cases forward. Whether or not we will see that, to be determined, but this is another interesting addition to the current environment of carriers suing CMS over their star ratings. Rise Health is hosting a webinar on this very topic today at noon Eastern Time. So if you're interested in checking that out and this episode hits your ears at the right time, you might have time to catch that. I am sure we will see other webinars popping up in the future that also discuss this topic, but definitely an interesting and still developing situation in our industry. And then for our top story this week, still hanging out in the Medicare market and with CMS, let's talk agent and broker compensation rates on Medicare Advantage and Medicare Part D for contract year 2027. We will start on the PDP side with initial commissions, which will increase from $114 per member per year in 2026 to $130 per member per year for coverage year 2027. Renewal commissions will increase from $57 per member per year in 2026 to $65 per member per year in 2027. And then on to the Medicare Advantage side of commissions. For these, we will break out commissions by state and region. So we'll start out with California and New Jersey. Initial commissions for Medicare Advantage will increase from $864 per member per year in 2026 to $902 per member per year in 2027. Renewal commissions will also increase from $432 per member per year in 2026 to $451 per member per year for coverage year 2027. Our next group, Connecticut, Pennsylvania, and DC. Initial Medicare Advantage commissions will increase from $781 per member per year in 2026 to $816 per member per year for coverage year 2027. And then renewal commissions in those areas will also increase from $391 per member per year in coverage year 2026 to $408 per member per year in 2027. In Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands, initial Medicare Advantage commissions in 2026 were $474 per member per year. That amount will increase to $495 per member per year for the 2027 coverage year. Renewal commissions are also up from $237 per member per year in 2026 to $248 in 2027 per member per year. In all other states, initial Medicare Advantage commissions will also increase from $694 per member per year in 2026 to $725 per member per year for coverage year 2027. Renewal commissions are also up from $347 per member per year for coverage year 2026 to $363 per member per year in 2027. We will have a link to more information on commission rates for 2027 in the episode notes, so be sure to check that out. Also there, you'll find links to additional resources we mentioned today, more podcast episodes like this one, and all the places you can find and follow us online. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen today. I hope you have a great weekend. Stay healthy and stay safe out there, and we will see you next week. The Agent Survival Guide podcast is a production of Ritter Insurance Marketing, an integrity company. This episode was written and produced by me, Sarah Ruppel. Script editing and fact check by Emily Ryan. Podcast design by Urban Rivera. Like what you hear? Follow along with our show wherever you get your podcasts.